What's up, beautiful people? It's your man Mark Black. So I know it's been about another week or so since I've came on and talked about a few topics or whatever. So seeing as how I'm off the plantation today, I thought I'd get a little bit in. I've just got a few things that I want to discuss. Just things that I'm noticing. On social media, in the news, things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm doing, and I just wanted to share it with the family. One of the things that I want to discuss today is this idea of us being special, unique, right? And I'm gonna take it from an angle that you may not think that I'd be coming from. I'm not talking about us as a people. We are definitely a unique, rich, and beautiful people. We are the original people and the descendants of the original human beings on this planet Earth. No, what I mean is individually. We all seem to get caught up in our own everyday shit, and that's easy to do, right? We are us, right? We are our own selves. So, when we get stuck with some bullshit on the plantation, or we got family drama going on, or we behind on a motherfucking bill that we owe to these pale people, and so on and so forth, it's really easy to get caught up on our own shit. But the fact is that part of the problem that I can see with us as a people is we tend to too much focus on our own shit, as if somehow or another we the only black people that's going through some shit, right? We don't look at the idea that as a collective, that's where our uniqueness comes in. That's where our beauty shines. No, we want to shine individually. We want to look good individually. We want to stand out. We want to be that special little snowflake. We want to be African American, or we want to be Afro Latino, and all this other separatist bullshit. You know what? You can append Afro to whatever cultural, linguistic, or any other separate identifier that you want. And that still does not make you separate from all other black people. You by yourself are not the special snowflake, family. You just not. I know you wish you were. I know you wish that you could just be, the one that was flying high in the friendly skies with everybody staring at you and wondering, but you're not. Our uniqueness, our richness, our beauty comes in as a collective, as a group. This trying to identify with everything other than being just black folk is probably the biggest primary reason why we've gotten nowhere. And you can argue that there's been progress or not. We can have that debate, but I would strongly argue against the idea that we have actually progressed anywhere. And one of the biggest reasons, again, it just has to do with the fact that we all want to be our own little special snowflakes. We want to be the most specialist snowflake that ever snowflake. We want to shine. We want to do this. We want to do that. Your beauty, your individual beauty doesn't fucking matter. Because guess what? You can be Afro-Caribbean and eat sauce, or you could be Afro-Latino and eat empanadas or whatever the fuck, and it won't matter, because when white supremacy, when whiteism comes for you, they're not going to give two damn shits what type of black person you are. They're on code with that. I don't even know how many times we have to say this shit. The pale people are on code. They understand that regardless of anything else you think you are, to them, in their eyes, when they come to destroy you or to steal from you or to lock you up or to harness your energy to make to provide them with whatever they want, they see one thing. They see blackness. That's it. And we're the only fools that keep thinking that somehow or another we can, shine individually, and that'll somehow or another get us up out of this quagmire. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be honest with you, it ain't gonna happen. You individually, me individually, we ain't really nobody. We're not. We're not. As a matter of fact, if whiteism wasn't here, if whiteism didn't exist, most of us probably wouldn't even have much interaction with each other at all, to be honest. So why are we so obsessed with our own individual selves, our own individual shit? Sure, we got our own everyday lives that we have to live, and that's cool, right? I'm with that. I do it. But at the same token, though, the only way that I can see that we can ever move forward is if we see the richness, the beauty, the uniqueness, the specialness in us as a collective, not as us as individuals. All right, so enough about that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the whole birth of a nation flopping thing, and I know that I'm a little bit behind the curve, and I'm it's not because I haven't been keeping up. It's just because I haven't done any recordings about it. I've got a confession to make. I haven't gone and seen it yet. I know I was one of the people who were advocating that we all go see it, and I still intend to see it. I just, to be honest, haven't set aside the time. I intend to go see it, but I do believe that this will be the last movie that I go see based in slavery, right? And there's a few reasons why that is. First of all, from what I've heard, right, I have not seen it, so take everything I'm about to say about the birth of a nation with a grain of salt. But it's in a lot of ways a typical slave narrative, slave movie. We get to see the horrors, the brutality, the mistreatment, the beatings, the rapes, and so on and so forth. Again, haven't seen it. I'm just assuming from what I've read and other people have seen that that's pretty much the case. Now, I believe that that stuff is definitely integral to telling the story of Nate Park. Sorry, not Nate Parker, Nat Turner. And so I recognize why Nate Parker did that. At the same token, though, I'll be honest with you, I'm just over it. And it's not that I'm over slavery. I recognize that that was and still is a horrible intergenerational trauma that we've all experienced. Whether, I mean, I've got family members, they're passed on now, but I'm 43. In my lifetime, I've known family members who were slaves. And I'm not the only one. I'm just saying, I'm not the only one. So, we can sit here and talk about, how long ago slavery was. I'm sorry, but no, you got, family members who were definitely sharecroppers, some under the convict leasing systems and shit down in the South, others who came up to the North and were brutalized by the Klan and white people in the North and all this shit. I mean, that shit is no more than maybe 2-3 generations back. That's no time at all, really, to address the trauma from that situation. But to continue to make these narratives of our brutalization, to me, is more psychologically traumatizing than anything we actually gain from viewing them. I really want to see the movie about Nat Turner. He's one of my heroes, one of my personal heroes. So I've known about Nat Turner long before this movie came out. Interested, to see Nate Parker's interpretation of the brother. But I think this is it for me. This is kind of the last slave movie for me. That actually brings up a question because your boy's the black question and answer man. This actually brings up a question that I'd like to ask. And I'd like to ask it in all seriousness Because the fact is that while I understand in some ways why we do this or why we're there, I wonder about the sensibility of this. Why are we so obsessed with the past and never focused on the future? That's the question I have for us on this Friday. Why are we so obsessed with the past and never focused on the future? If you think about it, right? Some of the most popular media outlets or media entries that have come into our black media um, consciousness have all been focused on the past, right? Focused on history. Now, don't get me wrong. Those who do not, learn from history are doomed to repeat it. History is definitely important. But a lot of the times when I watch, the little media that I do watch from the pale people, I tend to gravitate more towards like the science fiction stuff. I tend to gravitate more towards fuck what's happened today or what's happened in the past. What can we think about or conceive of for the future? We recognize that we have gone through a horrible trauma and still continue to be brutalized, tyrannized, colonized, whatever negative superlative you can think of about this system, we continue to experience it. That's without a doubt. However, knowing this, when are we going to get to a point where we start to actually plan a future, right? Where we start to look at what the world for black people could look like in a future setting, right? Other than, of course, your normal dystopias, right? Where black people have been wiped off the face of the motherfucking earth, or we've all been infected by some disease by the pale people and we all zombies or some bullshit like that. Like, how come there ain't no brothers out there, talking about a black space program or, black brothers and sisters going asteroid farming or looking to colonize different planets and shit? You know what I mean? Not to say that that's the route we got to take, but my whole point is that a forward focus or a future focus is a different kind of focus than just working to try to maintain the past. The past is the past, whether we like it or not, whether it was beautiful or not, whether it was edifying or uplifting or not, we can't fucking change it. But we're right here in the present and we have an opportunity to affect the future. Yet rarely do I see us as a people stand up and actually think about what we want for the future, for the time when our black asses isn't here 2, 3, 7, 10 generations from now. We don't have those type of master plans, but I can guarantee you that the pale bastards who want to tyrannize us all do. They got plans that go hundreds of years into the future. Shit that's happening today was planned back in the 1800s, and some of it planned back in the 1700s. We can't let go of the past completely, right? We cannot turn away from what has happened. We've not had any justice or anything like that related to our past. And I think part of that is maybe why we keep it, why we hold it up as a flame, because it has never actually been resolved to our satisfaction, right? Our past hasn't actually been addressed in a way. But let me come out and say something that is probably going to piss quite a few of you off. The pale people will never, ever fucking admit what they've done. They won't do it. Even during the so-called Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearings that they had in South Africa, even all of the horrible stories that was told of acts that were done against black people, the Africans during apartheid, right? They didn't even come close to scratching the surface of all the bullshit that actually happened to our people in South Africa at the hands of the apartheid regime, right? So you can have immunity. You can say, hey, we won't get mad at you. We'll forgive you. We'll kiss your ass and tell you that, it's okay. You can do all of that. And we still won't actually get full on acknowledgement of what we've experienced here in the wilds of the West. So why the fuck are we waiting for it? We know what happened, right? We know what Big Mama told us. We know what her mother told her. We know what her mother before her experienced. We don't need their motherfucking validation that they actually done us foul. We know that they've done us foul. Fuck them. Let's act accordingly and start planning and plotting on our future plans so that we don't even have to concern ourselves with what the fuck they're thinking about or getting some sort of acknowledgement or validation from the pale people, because it won't fucking happen. I was having a conversation on Facebook with somebody, and they were coming at me really, really kind of strange. And so basically, I was telling them all these things that, just like I do in every video, things that I suggest that we do as a collective, as a people, to try to gain our liberation. And this person essentially, said, well, what you doing about all these problems and all these things? What are you going to do about it? Here's a question that I should have asked a long time ago. What the fuck do you want me to do? Me, Mark Black, individually. What is it that you want me to do that you can't do with me? What will you do with me? Right? We had brothers Micah and Cosmo go out and actually take the war to the pigs on the streets, blood for blood, just like they've been delivering to us. We were cheering them on, some of us called them monsters along with the pale people. And that shit went on for about maybe 3 weeks. And then after about 3 weeks or so, brothers Cosmo and Micah were promptly forgotten. And when I say forgotten, sure, we know who they are. When I say, Micah X, when I say Cosmo, you know what I'm saying? You know who I'm referring to. So they're not forgotten in that sense. But the fervor that we may have felt when we saw them do what they did, whether one way or the other one, has faded. The ardor by which we embraced their actions or denied their actions has faded, right? It's almost as if it didn't fucking happen. So what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be like brothers Cosmo and Micah and run out there and, and bring the war to the pigs? I'm military trained. I could do it. I don't even imagine it would be that goddamn difficult, to be honest. Sure, might I die? Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to die any fucking way. Is that what y'all want from me? I mean, what is it that you're expecting Mark Black to do that you can finally get on board with and struggle for your liberation? What is it that you want to see me do that somehow or another will finally convince you that you need to resist whiteism at every turn, with every tool, with every resource, with every effort? What is it that you expect from me that will be in some way finally the signpost you've been waiting for to take action, no matter how big or how small? Because the fact is our liberation is not going to come in one big ass massive incident. It is going to be a series of individual incidents that add up to collective actions that will ultimately get us free. Period. That's the way every revolution works. It don't start off with one day everybody just wake up and they all on the same mind. Fuck no. It takes effort. You end up having to deal with traitors, and sometimes there's setbacks. There's battles you lose and battles you win. There's resources that you lose and resources that you gain. There's efforts that you make and efforts that fail. This isn't something that happens just in a snap of a finger. So if what I'm saying or what I espouse or what I advocate that we do isn't good enough for you to resist, right? It isn't good enough to convince you to resist the pale people and whiteism at every fucking turn, then tell me what will be. Tell me what will be the one thing, the key that unlocks the door for you so that you can jump on board with a brother, actually unify together and start to fight and start to resist for your own liberation. Leave comments down in the comment section below. I'm going to cut this one off because I'm hitting up around 20 minutes. But these are just a few things that have been on my mind since the last time that I reached out to the family. I love y'all, man. And I hope that the stridency and the passion that you hear in my voice doesn't come off as I'm disgusted in you. I actually believe that we can do anything we set our minds to. But we have to start setting our minds to doing more than just the normal shit. If you want just the normal shit, fine. If you want to just continue to be under the thumb of the pale people, right, and have a little bit more comfortable position in whiteism and you know, get a few nigga trinkets and things like that while hoping today isn't the day Pantaleo shows up for you or Holtz Claw shows up for you. If you're comfortable with that, that's cool. Maybe I'm not the dude you should be listening to. There's other so-called black people who will advocate that for you, and you can ride with them all day. But if you are absolutely tired of the status quo, if you know that there's a possibility of a future for you as well as your people, then I'd advise you to continue to listen to your man, because I'm only going to bring you the truth. Period. All right, family, this was your man Mark Black. Until next time, love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to my people.